Fade in. Exterior prairie house night. The early morning sun rises over the horizon. The light outlines the dwelling and a barn next to it. A rooster crows. Superimpose, somewhere in the Old West. Interior, boy's bedroom, day. In the darkness, the boy, about 10 years old with red hair and freckles, slumbers. Sunlight sifts from the walls and brightens the room. A loud whistle. The boy wakes and looks up. His father, the carpenter, in his late 30s, stands at the door. He gestures with his head as if to say, "Wake up, boy." Interior, kitchen. Eggs and ham sizzle in a cast iron skillet. Interior, dining room. The carpenter and the boy eat in silence. The boy's head drops from sleepiness. The father softly slaps his shoulder, and the boy lifts his head in alertness. A knock comes from the door. Exterior porch, moments later. The carpenter opens the front door. Lanky, a tall man in his late 20s with coveralls and straw hat, and Sombrero, a Mexican in his late 40s, await him. Sombrero takes off his hat and nods. Lanky tips his hat. Interior, barn. Lanky and Sombrero work their craft with hammer, nails, and saw. The carpenter shaves a beam with a block plane. The boy plays with the hammer and planks. He imitates his father. The men assemble the wooden beams into the shape of a frame. The carpenter whistles at the boy. The boy brings the hammer. Cut to exterior, Lonesome Valley day. A group of bandits desperately ride their horses. Gunshots ring high. Horses day. The outlaw, a man in his early 40s with a duster and a wide brim hat, leads the group. The bandits follow the outlaw. Their horses carry sacks of money on their sides. Golden Tooth, in his late 30s, dearly holds his bag. Grizzly, a big man with beard in his 30s, wildly fires behind him. Next to him rides the kid, late teens with panic in his eyes. Far behind them ride a posse of 10 men led by the sheriff, a man in gray clothes, chevron-style mustache, and a badge on his breast. Next to him rides the deputy, a handsome man with a square jaw in his early 20s. The other men ride along. They fire their guns. Cut to exterior, the gallows day. The carpenter, Lanky, and Sombrero carry the beam frame onto the platform. The boy observes from the ground. They raise the beam and set it over the trap door. They install the frame and set the rope over the wooden beam. Cut to exterior, Lonesome Valley day. The outlaw looks over his shoulder. The posse rears closer. He kicks his horse with force. The horse neighs. Grizzly still shoots wildly. He hits one of the sheriff's men. The man falls off his horse. Cut to exterior, the gallows day. Sombrero drops a large sack of potatoes on top of the trapdoor. Lanky ties a hangman's noose to the opening of the sack and tightens it. They step away from the mechanism. The carpenter grips the lever and releases it. He walks to the edge and beckons the boy to join him. The boy climbs the stairs of the gallows and stops next to the carpenter.
The law is carried out by the badge, the gun, and the hangman's noose.
The boy looks at him.
Never forget.
I won't, Pa.
The carpenter pulls the lever. The trapdoor opens, the sack drops, the rope snaps. Cut to exterior, Lonesome Valley day. The sheriff pauses and stares at the dead man. He lifts the reins and the horse gallops. The outlaw spots a cabin a few miles away and changes his course. His bandits follow. Exterior, old cabin. The bandits hastily dismount their horses. They carry the sacks of cash with them. The posse approaches fast. They fire at the bandits. Golden Tooth drops his bag. It rips open. The bills scatter in the wind. He turns and wildly grasps the bills. The deputy shoots at the easy target. Golden Tooth falls with a thud on the ground. The money flies over him. He smiles at the money. The golden tooth shines. He dies. The outlaw kicks open the door. The bandits rush inside the cabin. Interior cabin. Grizzly breaks a glass window and aims with his rifle. The kid flips over a table and hides behind it. The outlaw takes cover behind some furniture. Exterior, front yard, continuous. The posse dismount and take cover. Interior cabin. Grizzly waits. The outlaw reloads his Colt. The kid cowers on the floor behind the table. The outlaw scoffs at the kid. He looks at Grizzly, and they grimly nod at each other. Exterior, front yard. One of the men moves forward. The sheriff reaches for the man. A shot rings high. The man drops to the ground. The posse fires back. Interior cabin. Bullets rain inside. Pieces of wood fall over the bandits. The kid bawls. His arms cover his face. The outlaw and Grizzly fire through the window. A bullet hits the outlaw on his right shoulder. He falls to the floor. Grizzly turns towards the outlaw. A bullet strikes Grizzly's head. His body slumps on the window and it slowly slides to the floor. His head paints a trail of blood on the wall. The kid exhales and rises over the table to flee. A bullet hits him in the stomach. He holds his wound and falls to his knees. Exterior front yard. The sheriff signals to his men to approach the cabin. Interior cabin. The sheriff kicks open the door. The kid looks up, vomits blood, and reaches with his bloody hands to the sheriff. The kid slumps over and drops dead. The bloody fingers stain the sheriff's boot. The sheriff grimaces and kicks the hand away. The deputy searches the room and finds a trail of blood. Interior bedroom. The outlaw drags himself toward the open window. The door opens. The outlaw aims his Colt. The deputy aims his. Silence. They eye each other. The outlaw lowers and drops his Colt. Exterior dusty road night. The posse ride alongside a wagon. It carries 5 bodies, the bandits and deputies. A rope at the end of the wagon trails behind. At the other end walks the outlaw with the rope tied around his hands. The deputy, on horseback, pulls closer. He kicks the outlaw forward. The outlaw stumbles. The outlaw spits in the deputy's face and laughs. The deputy pistol whips the outlaw. He grimaces. From afar, the outlaw spots the gallows under the moonlight. Cut to exterior, the gallows day. Townsfolk gather in front of the platform, darkened by weather and withered by time. The sheriff and deputy escort the outlaw up the stairs to the platform and stand him over the trapdoor. The hangman, a man in a suit and bowler hat, places the noose and tightens it around the outlaw's neck. The hangman brings a hood over the outlaw's head, but he pushes the hangman away. The hangman shrugs. The townsfolk shout obscenities. The sheriff raises his arms. They hush to murmurs. The sheriff nods to the hangman. The hangman grips the lever.
Hold!
The old carpenter, in his 70s with thinning hair and a walking cane, pushes past the people. They make way and let him reach the stairs. The deputy steps towards the old carpenter. The sheriff holds him back. The old carpenter stands by the hangman and stares at the outlaw. The outlaw looks away. The old carpenter grips the lever. He looks at the sheriff's badge. He looks at the deputy's gun. He looks at the outlaw and the noose around his neck.
You forgot.
The outlaw stares back.
I did, Pa.
The old carpenter pulls the lever. The trapdoor opens. The outlaw drops. The rope snaps. Cut to black.